Does your husband want to help you experience pain-free sex, but doesn't know how? Here's some ideas. I'm Pauli, a women's health physical therapist, and this is Beyond the V Women's Health. I am on a mission to shed light on the lack of care, the lack of conversation about these uncomfortable topics, and to create resources for you and provide help. I created this channel because no mom or woman should have to struggle when there are answers. In one of my previous videos, I walk through pressing around the clock, but having your husband help, it's a little bit different when he does it compared to when you do it. So let's talk through that. This is something that I feel like you should decide if you're comfortable with. I'm not in your marriage, so I'm not one to say, yes, this is the right thing for you to do. Make sure it's right for the both of you before you start. Before you get to that point, I'd sit down and share some things as someone experienced helping my patients and their husbands all the time, that telling them, okay, sweetheart, you need to be real soft, and whatever you think soft is, I need you to dial it back at least 10 times. Men don't tend to have really great fine motor skills like women do, and he also is not getting the feedback necessarily. He only gets to watch your face or hear what you say if and when he's pressing, and so it's hard for him to really kind of determine how much pressure he should be giving or not giving. So that's the first part that I would have. Then have him put some lubricant, preferably water-based, on his finger. Let me add another thing. Do not do scented, warming, cooling. Don't do any of that if you're having pelvic pain. That can be one thing that can actually irritate those tissues over time. So water-based lubricant on his finger, have him insert his finger, but have him do it really slow. I would have him just rest his finger at that opening and let his finger sit there for as long as he needs. It might be helpful for him to put a pillow underneath his arm just to kind of support it. You want him to be able to comfortably sit there and rest and let that finger sit there and let those tissues eventually accommodate. So have him sit there for as long as what you need, and maybe that's the part that you're working on, is tolerating a finger resting internally. Once you get comfortable with that, which could be a couple days, a couple weeks, I wouldn't do any more than 2 minutes at a time in these sessions, and then have him work on, just like that video, step 2 talks about, is that you're gonna gently press around the clock. And if there's an area that's more painful than others, then maybe back off a little bit and then slowly increase pressure so you can tolerate about half an inch of stretching in any direction except 12, 1, and 11. Then the next thing that I might have you consider doing, and let me kind of lay the groundwork on this one. When I help my patients do their stretching and then they go home and they have their husband help them or they do it, they'll always say to me, gosh, they never do it, or I don't do it as good as you do. But here's the really cool part. For me and my patient, we don't have a romantic relationship. My patient and their husband have a romantic relationship. Our brain is an incredible sex organ and one that often gets missed. And so you having your husband help you with some of the stretching, even though it's not me, or another pelvic floor PT, this can really change your outcome. It never ceases to amaze me that if a husband is helping a wife at home with that stretching internally of those pelvic floor muscles, that patient always comes back with significant progress. So it's important to remember that this relationship that you have with your husband, the emotions that are involved, the history, all of these wonderful feelings actually will put you a little bit further in your progress because of these things. So count that as a really great thing. The next thing to consider or to start implementing is, you've heard me say this before, hopefully, if not, check out some of my previous videos, that I always recommend at least 20 minutes of foreplay. So some people may not always know what to do for foreplay, but one thing I encourage, especially if you're needing your tissue stretched at that vaginal opening, is that maybe you view touch almost like on a spectrum. So you have therapeutic touch all the way up to like sexual and pleasing touch. So maybe your husband helps you start here, like in that therapeutic section of that spectrum, and then things very well could evolve. And that's really your choice. I've said this before and I'll say it again, whatever you want to experience, whatever something progresses into something else, if your end goal is to have pain-free intercourse and your husband's helping you get there, there's really no set order or timeline in which things need to happen. It's fine if that stretching leads to more. It's a good thing, actually. If you're having a hard time kind of figuring out how to implement this and you're local to Utah, please reach out to me. I'd love to help. If not, check the link to find someone near you, and I really hope that this one was helpful. I want to change the conversation on women's health, and I need your help. Like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you know when new videos are up, and share these with friends or other women that you know would benefit from this. I believe that it's possible for you to improve your health and that you're worthy of getting this help because you're an heiress and a queen and everything in between.